What's up, my fellow YouTubers? So I figured I would talk about my meeting with Ric Flair, how I met him. Uh, I live in Oxford, Massachusetts, so John Cena's father owns like a wrestling organization, a smaller one, the next town over in Webster. So he has like these wrestlers come in that I wouldn't say they're no names, but they're not like wrestling anymore, like Greg the Hammer Valentine, Hockey Talk Man, but like Cactus Jack has made an appearance there. I think Macho Man was even there at one point. And that being said, Ric Flair was, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe back in 2009 he was going through a bankruptcy where everything that, all the taxes that he never paid were catching up to him, and the IRS caught up to him, and this and that, and he needed the money, so he was doing the smaller shows with the autographs. And the deal was, it was right before WrestleMania when he fought Shawn Michaels, and I think Chris Jericho busted him up on Raw. At that point, I was out of the loop with Raw because I felt like they, when they had the blood, wrestling was so much better. Now, I'm not saying to abuse the blood, but like it made the matches so much better. And I think Vince actually yelled at Batista for doing the blood when he wasn't supposed to. And it was in a steel cage match, I think, with Triple H. And at that point, I was like, you know what, screw it. It just doesn't jive with me. But I think it was still good enough where Chris Jericho busted him up. I think actually no, I think that was before. It wasn't. It wasn't until later on in 2009 that they decided no blood. So it was still good back then. At that point, it was like in April, yeah, 2009. So the deal was you paid $30 for an autograph, and I already had his book, and $30 for a picture. And I forgot how much the tickets were. I think the tickets were 30 or 60. I forgot how much, but I remember owing my father. My father owed me money, and I paid for his ticket. And I'll never forget him saying, like who's paying for it, and I said I am. And looking back, I think that's just a life lesson. He's not. He passed away in 2019, and I regret not spending more time with him. And a lot of it was because he owed me money, and every time we talk, the conversation always ended with, can I borrow this, can I borrow that? And I always felt resentment because I was like, why can't I just have a normal conversation, right? But like that was a time when I was like, screw it, just put everything aside, let's go with my father and my brother-in-law. And it was the most disorganized organization I've ever been to, and by the time I was done with it, I actually said, "That's it. I'm not going there anymore." So what they do is they know that everybody's waiting for Ric Flair, so they have all these boring matches coming in, and some of them are funny. I'm not saying that they all suck, but for the most part, they drag it out on purpose, knowing that you're waiting for Ric Flair. And I think the autograph session happened before that, and it was so disorganized to the point where they actually said, and it's not our fault, it's their fucking fault. They make you wait and wait and wait, and they said, okay, whoever's in this line is getting the autograph, anyone else isn't getting it. I would be ultra fucking pissed if that happened. And I think they got that money back, but I would definitely be asking for my money back. But I just happened to be one of the lucky ones in the line after waiting. And I was like, this is so disorganized. I'm never coming back, and I never did. Um, but I finally met him, gave him a hug, and I told him it seemed like everybody else before that was like these little teenagers that didn't really know him that well, only from watching Raw. They weren't old school wrestlers like me. So I'm 48 now, so that would make me 34 at the time. So I grew up watching him in the 90s with the Raw Rumble, and so when I got to him, it seemed like he was disappointed with the little kids that didn't really know him. When I got to him, I said, okay, these are my two favorite matches. And he goes, yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And I gave him a hug. And one of them was Royal Rumble 92 when he won the belt. And then the other one was against Cactus Jack, SummerSlam 2006, I believe. That's where he said, she does not quit for you. You quit. And it was a hardcore match. And in real life, they both resented each other because they both talk shit about each other in their story, in their autobiographies. No matter where you go, Mick Foley, he'll always be a glorified stuntman, right? And which has some truth to it. And then Mick Foley shot back at him in his book, which I have also. And but I told him my favorite matches, gave him a hug, got a picture with him, and I think he messed up my name when he first wrote, and I'll never forget him going, "Oh shit!" And there was a kid with him that was like his, I don't know what you call it, but he was paid to talk for him, like, "Hey, I'm his something. This is what's your name? Okay, now I'll let him have it." Sure as fuck wasn't a bodyguard; it was a little kid, but who the hell is gonna, unless you want to, Ric Flair chop him and get known for that, I guess you could do that. But like, for the most part, it was like in and out. Everybody was in and out. Told him my favorite match, got my picture with him, and it'll always be one of my favorite times of all time meeting a wrestler. I've only met a handful of celebrities. My other celebrity that I met was LL Cool J back in '98. You had to buy his book, which I was going to buy anyways. I told him he's my favorite rapper. His bodyguard didn't like me, but I was looking at his bodyguard like, oh my god, I know this guy because I seen him in one of the albums or whatever, the old school albums. And I was gonna ask if he was somebody, but he was like looking down, like, where do you want him to sign it? And I was like, okay, whatever. The deal was with LL Cool J, you could take a picture of him, but I had this cheap camera. We didn't have cell phones back then in '98. At least I didn't. I had a cheap $10 picture that didn't come out. It didn't flash. Fuck, And he paused for, he posed for me, whatever. And I said he's my favorite rapper, but the deal was you could not take a picture with him, which fucking pissed me off. That really pissed me off. I paid $25. I should be able to take a picture with you, but whatever. He autographed my book, and in the process of moving, which I did a lot in the '90s and early 2000s, I lost the book, which sucks. I wish I had it. But he said, be good. I think he said my name in it. And the book itself was awesome. It was called I Make My Own Rules. But yeah, LL Cool J and Ric Flair were the two celebrities that I've met in my life that are household names to this day. So let me know in the comments what celebrities you've met, what wrestlers you've met, how it went. Did it go good or not? And I will have more blogs in the future. Peace out, my fellow YouTubers.